me to share a bit of my story. We have some amazing testimonies to talk about this business opportunity. For those of you that maybe you're new coaches and you don't really realize the spectrum of the opportunity that you have, or maybe you're a guest and you didn't even know this existed. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up a really heavy kid in West Texas. I was the fat kid in my class. Unfortunately, there's a lot of heavy kids in class, but I was like the fat kid that sat in the corner of my class. I always felt pretty isolated, but I liked to entertain, so I was a bit of the funny fat kid, right? Pretty insecure, but tried to cover everything up with a joke. And I knew that I just wanted to entertain people growing up. I knew that I had a gift that I wanted to entertain and make people smile and touch people. But I was always so insecure that being in front of people to do that wasn't very comfortable for me at all. So I grew up, continued to be heavy. We moved to the Dallas area, and I knew that I wanted to go into theater. I wanted to be an actor. But it was this really weird dynamic. I wanted to be in front of people and entertain and touch lives, but the thought of getting in front of somebody with the way I looked scared me to death. I was uncomfortable in my own skin. And I don't know if you've ever gone through that, where you look in the mirror sometimes and you say, that who's looking at me is not who I know that I am. And that's how I felt growing up. And I knew what school I wanted to go to, and we didn't have the money growing up. And everything when I was growing up was, we can't afford it, this is why we're in debt. That was kind of the story that I heard over and over again in my head. And there was a root that grew inside me in the way that I thought that it was going to be twice or 3 times as hard for me to achieve anything as somebody else. If somebody else had success, I could tell you the excuse why they had the advantage over me and why I had to work harder, and my way was more honorable because of how hard I had to work. And I felt sorry for myself a lot. But I went off to a small junior college, then I transferred to another school, then I went out to Florida. Long story short, by my mid-20s, I had dropped out of college 3 times. My last semester at college in Florida, I literally was living in an apartment with nothing but a TV and a mattress on the floor, no box springs. And I was living out of a box of minute rice, was basically how I was making it through my meals. And I'll never forget the day my mom called me and said, hey, we're worried about you. We need you to come home. And it sucked. It was the worst phone conversation because I knew in my gut she was right. I had to go home. But I knew that if I agreed to do that, then I was giving up on all those dreams of being an actor and performing and impacting lives. So reluctantly, I moved home. So I'm back home in Dallas, 100 pounds overweight, 3-time college dropout with 3 maxed out credit cards, working in a bar in North Dallas, so I can't do shows. I wanted to do musical theater, right? I wanted to be on stage, wanted to sing, wanted to dance. I wanted to be Gene Kelly. That was just a little bigger version, right? And all those dreams, all those aspirations went away because I'm living at home with my parents with no dreams, no aspirations, working in a bar in North Dallas. Little did I know God had a very special plan for my life and stuck me in that bar. Because there was a guy that I worked with there that I saw was losing weight over some time. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? Because I was like Robert. I was the ephedra pill popper guy, right? So we were all looking for the new drug. So I went over to him and said, man, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm doing these DVDs. I said, I'm out. Chicks do DVDs. I'm out. This guy was seeing results, but I didn't want to hear it. So I said no. So if you've ever tried to share with somebody and they said no the first time, I just wanted to know I was a no. But I kept watching, and I kept seeing him get leaner and more energy and better looking, and that made me mad. And so I came back around like, what are you doing? He's like, come over to my apartment, I'll show you. And he showed me this DVD series called Power 90 with this guy in these tiny little shorts, corny jokes, and some bands. And I was like, all right, I'm still broke, I couldn't afford it, but figured out a way to buy this DVD series. And I popped it in, and in 2 weeks of doing Power 90, I saw results that I'd never seen before. I tried stuff in high school, I tried stuff in college. And for the first time in years in my life, I was excited about something. I looked forward to waking up in the morning. I had a new friend in this guy right here, Tony Horton. He didn't know it. But I look forward to hanging out with him every day. Because I felt like somebody through my TV screen believed in me. And I plugged into the Beachbody message boards, and all of a sudden I had people that cared whether or not I showed up the next day. Because I tried stuff in the past and I quit. But nobody ever sent me a message saying, hey, Jimmy, where have you been? We miss you. Are you still okay? Are you in this thing with us? And that sense of community I got addicted to. So I just kept doing this stuff. To the point when the P90X comes out, we saw the ads. I was one of the first people also to get P90X. And I remember seeing it and just thought it was cool because everything was black. And I saw the video clips because they had a series where Tony was showing the making of it, right? It was kind of before the launch. And I was like, this thing scares the fool out of me. I gotta do it. So by this time, me and my lovely wife, Kelly, started doing P90X at 6 o'clock in the morning together. And I never would have made it through if she wasn't there to help me through it. But that's when my body started changing. There was nobody in my family who had any muscle or anything like that. My body started changing and my confidence grew. To the point where we'd gone through a round or two that I came to her and said, I have this desire in my gut to entertain. I want to know if I can really do this thing. Let's move to New York City. And she was shocked. And she had to do some research first. But we did it. And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, living in New York City, living the dream. I went from that guy who had given up hope, who wasn't excited about waking up in the morning, to living my dream because of this opportunity. And you couldn't shut me up about it. There was no coaching. You couldn't shut me up because I had hope, and I wanted to deliver that hope to somebody else. And I don't know if you've gone through the same thing where you're so excited about something, you can't shut up about it. That was me. And I found out about the coaching opportunity from a friend I met on message boards. And even though me and my wife both had amazing success with the programs, she was a little skeptical because I'm kind of the wow person and she's the how person in the relationship, which I'm so thankful for. She keeps me out of a lot of trouble. But all I knew is I was still a broke actor, was still on this debt up in New York City, and I didn't have a job. And all I knew is we could get a discount on these supplements, these programs that I loved. So on that alone, she said, okay, you can do this thing. And I'm so thankful that we did. Because my life has changed. We are no longer in debt. I get to spend every day with my beautiful wife who no longer has to drag herself to corporate America. We have a 2.5-year-old son, and it broke my heart after her maternity leave when all she ever told me her entire life is she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom when she grew up. And to watch her have to leave and go back to corporate America and break her heart every morning broke my heart. So because of this Beachbody coach opportunity, I was able to let her live her dream of coming home. And every morning, we as a family get to touch others' lives. So if you're a new coach, or you're just thinking, I don't know if this something is for me, or I'm struggling with this thing, or maybe you're a guest, it doesn't matter about your six-pack. It doesn't matter where you are in your fitness journey. If you're willing to commit to this community, be an example, be a part of the community, and deliver hope to somebody else, because that's what we do, guys. We deliver hope to a world that desperately needs it. And I'm so thankful for this opportunity, and thank you for letting me share my story with you as well. What I love about coming to these events is I love meeting new people all the time or being reintroduced to stories again. We have two individuals that are going to share their stories with you. And Robert said it so perfectly early. As coaches, our job is to be collectors of stories. Because it really doesn't matter what our compensation plan is or all the ingredients in Shakeology or how many workouts are in P90X3. What really matters is the story of the person and how they've turned their lives around. So, is it Christy? Is that who our first is? As she is on her phone? There's important things going on in life. So, help me give Christy a big round of applause.
Hi, y'all. My name is Christy Bruce, and I live in Argyle. And Melissa asked me to speak today to share a little bit about my story as far as why I became a coach. And it's kind of funny how it's evolved. Back in April of this year, I had been going to the gym for about 3 years, and I was hitting a plateau in my progress, and I needed something more. And the gym I was at was about to start doing some group training, which I thought, I'd love this. It's something different. It'll really push me. But it was really expensive. And I came home to my husband, and I was all excited. I was like, come on, please, can I do this? And he's like, I don't know. I mean, we don't want to spend another $120 a month for you to do this. And I was like, I don't know. He's like, what are you going to give up? Oh, I don't became one of those things where I was like, I just couldn't justify the cost. And so I had been on Shakeology for about 9 months, loved it, and I started thinking to myself, well, maybe I could just become a discount coach, pay less for my Shakeology, and get the programs, and just start working at home, and maybe it would kind of help, me get more results. And so I called Melissa, and we met, found out the skinny on what it meant to be a coach, went home, and was like, I don't know. I just don't know if I want to do this. My husband and I talked about it. Well, long story short, I decided on April 17th to sign up. And the first couple of weeks, I didn't do anything. Like, I just thought, I'll just get the discount, this is all it's going to be. And at the end of April, I decided to just put it out there by letting my friends and family know that I was going to become a coach, put a Facebook post out there, this is what I'm going to do, this is my new venture. I had always been into fitness and health, and that was always a part of my life, so people who knew me knew that. And I threw it out there, and I was kind of amazed at how many people, in probably the first 5 to 7 days of knowing that I was doing this, reached out to me. And my purpose at that point changed 180, because it wasn't so much anymore about the discount. It was actually about how I could make a difference for people, and I could actually maybe be an inspiration to people. And since then, I have had countless people tell me, you're inspiring me, please keep doing what you're doing. And I've had very close friends of mine lose 20 and 30 pounds. And just for those 1 or 2 people that I've already seen big results of it, it's means the world to watch them smile differently and them feel differently about themselves. And not to mention that side of it, I also started to see that maybe I could contribute to my family and our financial status. And that became a very real thing. And back in August, I was able to make enough money to pay for our mortgage, which really floored me. Like, when that happened that month, I added it all up, and I looked at my husband, and I was like, I just paid for our mortgage with my money from Beachbody. He's like, what? He's like, well, you just keep on going, honey. You just keep on going. But it really felt good, because honestly and truly, I will tell y'all, I was in commercial real estate for about 7 years before I got married. And honestly, my dream was to be a stay-at-home mom. Didn't want to do anything else, get married, be at home with my kids. And I love my family, and they are my priority. And the coolest thing about it is my husband flew jets in the Air Force for 21 years. And he was so passionate about what he did. And I've known lots of people that have done their passion and lived it out. And I was never that person. Yes, I had lived my passion out with my family as far as being a mom and being a wife. But I always felt like there could be more. And this business has unleashed a passion inside of me that I really didn't even know I had. And it has given me a bigger purpose. And it feels amazing. And I looked at my husband about 2 months ago and I said, I finally get it. I finally get how you felt for 21 years. To be able to do something that you're passionate about. So I highly recommend, if you even have a little bit of the thought of doing this, it can be an amazing journey, and you can make it what you want, and dreams can come true. Thank you.
That's awesome, especially when you're able to witness something with one of your neighbors, to see it happening, and to have it happen couldn't happen to better people than the Bruces. And so I want to take a minute and also introduce our next next gentleman up here. Just have him come up. They're actually going to practice that up here. No, I'm just kidding. But it's been a great one of the great things that I love about being a Team Beachbody coach, about the Team Beachbody business, is not only the stories that you get to hear and how you get to be an effective part of people's lives, but also the friends and family that is alone. And I want to introduce Lee. Come on up here. I want to introduce somebody who's become a good friend, almost like a big brother. And I wish I was as big lumberjacky as this guy is, but have him come up and share a story, because it's pretty powerful.
So the first thing I want to talk about is I want you to just think of the word possibilities and how far you've gotten, whether it's just for the discount on the products, losing the weight, or if you're in it for the business, or both. But I need to give you a little bit of background, so I'll try to condense that 47 years pretty quickly. I was adopted here in Dallas, raised by two great parents. Didn't have a lot of money, middle class, I didn't get everything I wanted. That's why I need money. But I got everything I need, which is what, as parents, we should all do. Normal athletic background, great life as far as I'm concerned. Looking back, when you're a kid, you think, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, but man, looking back, what an awesome childhood I had. Okay? Well, let's spin that up about 40 years. And I told you I was adopted. And the reason I'm telling you all this is God placed me right here for a reason. To talk to you guys about this. And what an opportunity you have. And what it's meant to me. And my family. So, I was bored one day. I went online. And I found this site. And it was for adoptees, parents who give their children, if you want to connect, and this kind of thing. So I was bored and I filled it out, expected nothing. It never bothered me I was adopted. I thought it was pretty cool. A cool story I could tell. So a lady called me, and this was like a couple days later. She was vice president of the site. And she said, I'd like to try a few things, look into some things, check your background and all this. No problem. She said, it's free, don't worry about it. I said, okay. So she calls back, and she says, give me $25. I've got a judge who will sign a court order to open your original birth certificate. Cool. Much more than I'd expected so far. Called me, say 2 weeks later. I had a voicemail. Said, I need you to call me. I called her back. And she said, we found your birth mom. She said, or at least I found her name. I don't know if we can find her. She's probably moved out of Texas unless we could track her. But there's no telling. I said, you know what? That's more than I thought I'd ever know. In a million years. So, a couple days later, they called back. I got someone you need to talk to. And I got a call from my birth mom's sister. That's it. You want to be freaked out a little bit? Okay. So she calls up and I say, well, it sounds like I'm related to you. She says, well, you need to sit down a second because your birth mom ended up marrying your birth dad, ended up having 3 boys. That's 3 full-blood brothers I knew nothing about. So, that's one. So that went through. I actually got to the point where 2 days later, I had the guts up to talk to my birth mom. Okay. And she told me all these stories. They had sent her a picture of my driver's license, and they sent it to her, and she went to see Sonny, who was my birth dad, and sat down and said, do you recognize this person? I said, no, but he looks really familiar. Well, that went on from there. So that's just another point that the possibilities are, I can't even, there's more to this, so I'm just going to keep on. All right. Somewhere in here, I had a failed marriage, 7 years worth. And one thing I always wanted to be was a dad. I wanted to be a dad so much. It failed about the time I met my birth parents, so the transition was probably easier for us than a lot of time I think. Okay? So things went well. We roll around to about 2004. I've had all this stuff going on, and I'm diagnosed with cancer. Boom! Okay, I'm not trying to get people to feel sorry for me. It's a good story. Okay, so I'm in the doctor's office. He gives me the news. God prepared me for this. I have a real peace about it. I'm not married. I don't have kids. So I'm not tearing anybody else up with this. But one thing the doctor says is, you could have picked a better cancer. You need to work on your talking skills. So here's the thing though. How many people went to Summit? Anybody here go to Summit? You remember Stuart Scott? Did you see the Inspiration Award video from Stuart Scott? Man, I wanted to jump out of my seat when I heard that. Because one of the biggest things, I had chemo within 2 weeks to get that news. And I was, at the time, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to kick this thing, I don't care. I went to the gym the day after. Day after chemo, I said, I'm still walking up, everything's working. I'm going to the gym until this thing just flat knocks me down. Well, it didn't knock me down, but what I realized when I heard Stuart speak, that was so much out of fear that I did that, because I was so scared to listen to the doctor and lay down, rest, take it easy, don't do anything. It was happening. I was half pissed off, maybe at the world, maybe at everything. And the other half is just scared. I didn't want to admit that this could do anything. Now, I've had 5 chemos since then, alternating years usually. Most of them went well. Some of them did not. So, my beautiful wife right there spent a good year taking care of me when I was laid on my back during one of them. There are my 2 boys right there. So, this is my whole world right here. Took good care of me. But as you can imagine, from someone, a caregiver in any kind of position like that, it's tough on them too. It's just as tough on a family as it is on the person, the individual. And if you look left of you, right of you, behind you, in front of you, someone in this room somehow has been touched by cancer. And my hope is somehow that from my story, I can help them. That's part of what I transitioned into this business. It's what makes me passionate about this business, is I can talk to people who are in this position. And I pray that no one in this room is in that position. You want something to talk to? I'm right here. So we went on from there. I'm actually going to back up just a little bit, because I want to tell you about how I met him. My brother had a daughter, my niece. And this is where things really go off track, is they were killed in a plane crash. She and 6 members of her family. So he had been divorced from her. They were all killed. The worst thing you can possibly imagine. Okay, it was in Wichita Falls. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Wichita Falls, but it tore that whole community up. These people were very loved. And as you can imagine, it tore my family up. So, in the process of grieving, of course, we got a big service for her. And this is just another tremendous God thing. I walked out of this service, and I looked to the right of me. I see this girl standing over there. Jesus, what am I thinking? Wow, she is really hot. So start thinking this right now. So as I'm watching, each one of my brothers goes over and hugs her. Does anyone want to introduce me? So that progressed, and somehow we ended up all going back to my birth mom's house, having our little grieving session. But Mindy and I started getting to know each other. And what I noticed was she had knee scars just like me. I've had 4 ACL surgeries. She's had 2. I thought that was really hot. So things progressed from there. For some reason, she said yes when I asked her to marry me, knowing I had cancer. Now, that was a scary moment for me too. There was a lot of things involved in that. You know, you're an instant caregiver. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where it's going to lead you. And she's already done more than I could have ever expected anyone to do, and had to put up with her. She has to put up with me. Now that leads us into, asked her to marry me. We got married. I had chemo scheduled for 2 weeks after we got married. Now, being a good Christian knows that I am. We couldn't try for kids until we got married. 2 weeks. The greatest 2 weeks of my life. Earmuffs, boys. And out of that 2 weeks, we got the little guy bouncing right there in the garden. So, just another blessing. I'm building all this up, I believe that God provides us with the tools to be successful. Each body is a tool, and I believe it came into our lives at the right time. As soon as he was born, I lost my job. It was in 2008. All that junk was going on, waves of layoffs, and I got caught up. So in a moment where I lacked faith, my wife was offered a job that I knew she did not want. But I knew that we needed the money, we needed the benefits. So to my shame, I pushed her into taking this job. In the meantime, I was doing contract work here and there, doing the best I could. But my full-time job was trying to find a job. And I watched my wife be miserable every day. Couldn't stand it. But I didn't have the guts to say, you gotta quit. God will take care of us. Quit. So finally, she came up to me and said, I can't do this anymore. And you know what I said? Thank you, Jesus. Don't do it anymore. Because I want that off. I believe within 2 weeks I had been offered a full-time job at the University of Texas Southwest Medical Center here in Dallas, which also happens to have an oncology, a very, very good one, and great benefits. So my really, really good care started, the cancer care started right there, and everything started falling into place. A trusted friend mentioned Beachbody at that point. Oh, I said, I'd like to try that. She was pregnant at the time. But we were taking care of things, and she said this was happening in California where they were having meetings, so I flew out there. Legit, it's about fitness. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Been an athlete all my life. I mean, if it makes my wife happy, fine. You know, we get supplements, we go to the store, we spend a ton of money on supplements anyway. What's the difference? So I believe, without making this too long-winded like it's already been. Whoops. Okay. I believe our first check was around $40. $48. That was cool. $48. You know? And it started growing a little bit. And within a couple years, I was this great job I had just gotten. That was a gift straight for God as far as I was concerned. I was able to work just 3 days a week and still had full benefits, enjoyed all of that. And I was able to help her on the side of the beef line. Now, from that point on, we built our dream home, paid off all our debt, and this year, we made the Millionaire Club. That's in 5 years. We started this in 2008. In 5 years in this business. I'm telling you, if you want to be your own boss, if you want to spend more time with your family, with your kids like I did, what a blessing. And it's all here for you. And there's people in this room right now that can help you in ways you can't imagine. I don't know where you're standing. I don't know if you even care to make this into a business. But I'm telling you, if you push through that first, what would you guys say, couple months, just push through like that, you get through there, keep going, you're going to be okay. I'm sorry to be so long-winded, but it's what I want you to think about. That's what it's done for us. There were no expectations of this. I was perfectly happy before. Beautiful wife, kids. Are you kidding me? I'm good. If you haven't been to Summit, I'm recommending right now that you be at Summit next year. You do not understand how that will boost your business. And there's a second way. P90X fan that I am. I'm also a certified P90X coach. I recommend that for you guys as well. It's going to legitimize your business. You know what a great workout is, and P90X3 is about to happen. you want to get started in this business, man, you couldn't have picked a better time, because that is going to go through the roof. I promise you. That's it. I always do that to him.
I'm tapping when I watch and he never looks at it. What's up with that? No, that's great. And it just talks about the possibilities of what can happen and just having faith and perseverance and committing and following through and what can happen. And he and Mindy's life and their little boys, I mean, it's awesome. So, I mean, as we wrap up this section here, I mean, what we want to do is more than anything, we wanted to introduce you to kind of get an idea of what this is all about. And I know we have, most of the room here are coaches, but there are a few guests. And you know, if you were invited here by another coach that's in this room, or anyway, make sure that you get in touch with them and just ask them, you know, they showed me this video, they showed me, we talked about, there's a couple people that got up there and talked about this coaching thing, what it did in their lives. You know, tell me more about that. Just ask. You never know what a little question might lead to. It's just like when you ordered your Power 90, your P90X, your 10-minute trainer, when you took that leap of faith and did that, you never know where it's going to lead. Just take that leap of faith and ask that. If you know, if you were here as a guest, if you have questions about any of this, Melissa and I will actually be downstairs at the back. No, excuse me, right at the back of the room. Right at the back of the room, there's a table back there. Come back there and ask us. You know, we've been in the business since it started. We help around the Team Beachbody side of the business and the network side of the business, so we can shed a lot of light and answer a lot of questions that you might have and show you how you can get involved right away. So anyway, right now we want to take a 10-minute break. Okay, we know I see some of your eyes are floating, things like that. So take a 10-minute break, go out, do your business, and then as soon as you can get back in here, we want to go and get started because we got Tony's going to be sharing his top tips and things that he can do and what you can do to improve your life. And then that way we can, as soon as he's done there, we can get